Hello world, my name is Ihor and this is another techno recipe. In my previous video that I released a couple of months ago, I was talking about how to make a bass line inside of the tiny modular case. And back then I took an approach of creating somewhat complex voice inside of it. Basically there was an oscillator, filter, couple of VCAs, envelopes to control the filter and VCAs, there was compressors and stuff like that. And there was no sequencer. We sequenced everything from the Digitact and also used effects on the Digitact that were applied into the incoming audio from the modular. And that's amazing. And it was an amazing jam, which I really, really love. But there is another way to approach building the minimalist modular system. And this way is to have a fully functioning voice with a ton of features packed inside of just one module, just like this Erika Synth bassline. This allows us to have the rest of the rack at our disposal to put effects or a sequencer there, or actually both. And this approach I took today, so we've got our Erika Synth bassline as our main voice, and this is an amazing voice. It has two oscillators, detuning, filter with cutoff and resonance. You can also send some frequency modulation into the module and control how much you're going to apply this frequency modulation. There is two envelopes, one VCF envelope and VCA envelope, and also you can control the amount of VCF or filter envelope applied to the filter cutoff. I think that's what I meant by fully functioning voice packed with a ton of different features. To sequence it, we have steppy, mimetic, and scales combo. Amazing. And then for tonal things, we have Polaris as our phaser, Ruina Versio for distortion or saturation, and then Desmodus Versio for our reverb. And here we have the Syntakt. It's going to be our mixer because we've got audio coming from the modular into the Syntakt, and also the main clock. We've got MIDI here going into the palette case, and also it's going to be our drum machine and maybe a couple of synth sounds. And we're going to be utilizing the analog effects block today as well. But before I go into the patch breakdown and we actually start making music, I would like to spend a moment to celebrate a couple of things. First of all, this channel, my channel, reached 10,000 subscribers. This is an incredible achievement for me and I'm so proud of it. And I would like to thank every one of you who are subscribed. And if you're not, please do. Let's make this number bigger. Another interesting or important number is that this channel right now has more than 500,000 views, more than 500,000 views. That's that's amazing. And another cool number is that my previous video, which I released a couple of months ago, got much more than 1,000 likes. That's just crazy. Anyways, I would like to share my gratitude with all of you. Thank you very much for all this support. And we shall continue, I guess. So the patch itself on the modular is ready here. Let me quickly break it down for you. I don't think it's complicated. So we have MIDI coming from the Digitact into this little MIDI module, and then we pass the clock and also the reset or run information into the steppy, so that whenever we start the Syntakt, the sequence starts here. That's perfect. And I'm utilizing three outputs of the steppy, basically three tracks to power our sequence. So the first track of steppy, it's going to be our main sequencer track, main triggers. It's going into the Mimetic Digitalis and advances it into the next step. Easy. The track B, or the second track, is going into the zero of Mimetic. Basically, whenever there is going to be a trigger on the track B, it's going to reset Mimetic back to its beginning, so that we have repetitiveness. And then the track C is our gate track or accent track, which is going into the Erika Synth bassline for accents, basically to emphasize some parts of the sequence. That's pretty much it when it comes to the steppy. Then Mimetic, as I mentioned, receives next and reset. And then it passes the trigger into the scales and passes track 1 CV information into the scale pitch input. The scales, they're going to quantize incoming CV values to the minor scale or to the notes that I selected over here. and then it passes the output into 1 volt per octave into the Erica Synth bassline, and also the trigger is getting multiplied and going into the gate input of Erica Synth bassline. So that's pretty much it when it comes to sequencing and connecting to the voice. And then the output, the audio output from the voice, is going into the phaser, Polaris from Intelligil, and from here it's going into the Ruina Versio from Noise Engineering. And then the stereo output out of the Ruina Versio is going into the Desmodus Versio, and then we have this output going over here into the Intelligil out module. So basically, when I'm approaching the patches, usually I take left to right approach towards the signal path, and with only caveat that the output module can be only here, mounted only here, because internally you connect it to the case as well with a little cable. So I have this like hack here from the last module. I go with the longer cables into this module on the left. And also I'm using the longer cables today just to keep this kind of tidy and accessible for performance and also for presentation to you guys. And now let's set a couple of things on the Syntakt. First of all, I would like to go for 140. We're going to be doing some acid today. And also I would like to set the scales mode so that we can have different amount of steps per track. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, but anyways, I think it's cool to have it. And also I'm going to go into the external mixer and put the external input volume, I think 24. That's what worked for me pretty well. Yeah, like this. And I think we're good to go. Let's start the clock. Nice, we have the clock going. I put a trig here. Yes, we can hear it. Let me put a couple of those. So we have 7 triggers over here on the main sequence. And right now the melody, it's quite hard to distinguish the melody over here because it kind of never repeats. We have 16 steps of CV values here on the Mimetic and only 7 steps here. So every time it finishes on the 7th step, and then the sequence starts again from the 8th step, and so on and so on. So that's where the reset from track B is going to be quite useful. So I'm going to put 1 trig on the track B, which is going to reset Mimetic to the really beginning every time. And now, so we have repetitive sequence now, right? Cool. Also, I did tune the oscillator to the C, like to the note C before, and I hope I didn't touch the tune button, tune knob anymore, so that it still works with this. Yeah, I think it does. Cool. But to get some kind of acidic sequence today, I would like to just go for, for all the notes here, all the trigs. And I'm going to go into track 1 and load 0. Basically, that's going to erase all the values on track 1 for all the 16 steps on the grid. So right now they're at 0. That means that our pitch is not going to change. Nice. But now, let's try to change a couple of pitches on the sequence with the 0 shred. When I press the 0 shred, it's going to change, or it's going to generate a random value within 1 octave and set it into this particular step where the Mimetic is at the moment of me pressing it. Hope that makes sense. And then it's going to be quantized to the minor scale and everything should be all right. And then we can control the amount of filter envelope applied to the cutoff. Resonance. Nice. Let's make the envelope shorter a little bit and close it a little bit. Now if I go into the track C, here I would like to do some interesting things. So I'm gonna put only 6 steps over here. So if I press and hold the 6th step here, it's gonna set this track only to be 6 steps long. And I'm gonna put 2 triggers, 1st and 3rd. And if I play now, these are the accents. You can hear this like clicking, right? This is because the gate over here is too short. And right now, if I go into the gate config of this track, so the gate is set to like 20%. I can make it more. Steppy can do that. So now, every time on these 2 steps, we have the sound a bit louder, and also the filter is a bit more opened, you know? Cool. Another cool feature here is that I can mute tracks. So now we don't have accents, or we can mute the entire like sequence. Nice. But let's keep the accents and let me play with the phaser a little bit. It just changes the tone. I'm gonna also raise the resonance a little bit. Okay, I like it here. A bit of distortion. It also brings us into the stereo field, which is cool. And also a little bit of reverb. And I set it into the darker one. So for the Ruina Versio to have this kind of distortion, I set it up so that it has, the distortion is super high. So it kind of distorts quite a lot. But if I mix it, blend it in a little bit, just add this kind of higher harmonics, which can be quite useful later down the line for performance purposes. Cool. And now let's make a kick drum. So we have this one by default. So I'm gonna go in track 1 and make it a little bit more obvious, longer overdrive, but let me compensate the volume immediately. More overdrive. Maybe like this. And then we can go down like 3 semitones. Yeah, like this. And then I'm gonna use amp envelope to kind of mix it in, because I don't really need this longer kick. Let me listen together with the sequence, and then we can also program or change the pitch or something. Nice sequence actually over here. Nice. Okay, we've got our kick going, maybe a touch louder. Cool. I think that's gonna work. And now I would like to route the incoming audio from the modular into the effects block over here. On the Syntakt, effects track is a track that you can also sequence. And we can route basically any sound, including the incoming sound, into this effects block. So I'm gonna go and press this one to route incoming audio into the effects block. Now let's go into the effects track. There is a filter. We can utilize high pass filter to remove like super low frequencies from this effects track and basically from our bass line over here. And then if I go into the amp, we have an inverted amplitude envelope over here. And we can basically sequence it as well, put triggers at the same place where the kick is, and then apply some envelope, which is gonna create some sort of a ducking effect. So now I'm gonna shorten it a little bit. Yeah, something like this. And then if I go into depth, listen carefully what's gonna happen. Maybe more. No, it's too much. But you can hear it, right? Nice. Cool. And now let's try to add another synth sound over here. I'm gonna go into track 6. That's a chord. We don't need chord. So I'm gonna go for tone. Yes, tone. Bring it into some weird territory over here. Oh my god, it's too loud. Sweet. Yeah, we can modulate this parameter over here with an LFO so that we receive some interesting variation of this synth actually, or this sound. So I'm gonna go for random LFO, hold. Yeah, we can make it fast, super fast. Doesn't really matter because we have a hold over here. So on every trig is gonna grab the value, kind of sample and hold, and apply it to the destination. And our destination is going to be, yeah, the feedback. This one. And we can play with depth. Yeah, like this. It's gonna change tone a little bit every time. Send it into reverb significantly and into delay. Let me fix the delay, make it wide, and also like high pass it quite a lot, a bit more feedback, and send it back into reverb a little bit. And let's make reverb longer as well, and a touch brighter like that. Yes. Now, if we are going into the effects block, we can also route this sound on the track 6 and both of the delay and reverb into the ducking effect. And I think that's just amazing. So if we listen to it right now. Yeah, I think here we can put the sound. Yeah, that's gonna work, but let's put it like this is gonna be happening on the first out of 4 iterations, and this one is gonna be happening on the third, or every like third iteration of the sequencer. And maybe here. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's gonna work quite good. We can have it on every second. And then we can go into the second filter over here and roll out like super low frequencies. And then I would like to go into the first filter and use like low pass. Again, the sound. Also, if I'm gonna go into the triggers, I can probably put them into the stereo field a little bit more. Touch louder. Yeah, that's gonna work. And now let's add some hats. So I'm gonna go for this one and use this track as a hat as well. So I'm gonna copy the sound and put it here. So we have 2 hats. This is gonna be our closed hat. And so far, I really like the hats engine on the Syntakt, the digital one. Because on the rhythm, actually, the hat sound is annoying. I just cannot find, you know, I cannot tune it in so that I like it on the rhythm, and sometimes, most of the times actually, I end up using samples from 909 kit, which is cool. So, but here, The hi-hat, I think, is a little bit like more, a little bit more cool. Yeah, I think something like this will work. Again, I'm gonna copy this one and put it here. I think I have some reverb going or something like that. Let me just blend it out. On track 4, I'm gonna make like super short, like this, and maybe not as loud. And then I'm gonna go to the sequencer and actually make it 12 steps long, and then put all the heads over here and start changing their velocities. So it's gonna be something around like 50, from 10 to 60, something like that. Just randomly, sort of. From 10 to 60, some of them louder, some of them not as loud. But then I also have to make sure that the trigs on the 3rd one, on the 7th one, and on the 11th one are quieter, because we're also gonna put some open hi-hat here as well. Let's listen to what we have. Oh, that works super well. Maybe. Nice. Pan to the left a little bit. And then we can go into track 5 and add an open hat here. So it's the same sound, but the amp envelope is going to be quite different here. So maybe into reverb a little bit. Again, our reverb is going through the effects block, which has the ducking effect. So even if we send the hi-hat sound into the reverb, it's going to create this kind of ambience, like high-pitched or like noisy ambience inside of the reverb, but it's going to go through the ducking effect as well, even though our hats are not going through the ducking effect, which is, I think, cool. We can actually maybe route the hi-hats. Yeah, we can route the hi-hats, the closed hi-hat, the 16th hi-hat, the ducking effect as well, and maybe make it touch louder. Yeah, nice. Cool. And now let's try to play a little bit with Erika Synth Bassline and see where can we get with it. So I'm gonna start with muting the track C, and this is our accents, and bring down the energy a little bit. That's an interesting feature on the Desmodus. It has the filter. Basically, it's kind of a DJ filter. On the left, it goes like a low pass, and on the right, it's a high pass filter. And with blend, we can actually create some interesting kind of washout effect. So I'm gonna go like bring more distortion, which is gonna bring more higher harmonics. So I'm kind of rolling both of the blends to the right, and then also the filter to the right. something like this. With practice, you can indeed get more comfortable with such a thing. Or maybe get some like CV offset generators as of like, what was it? The Lapsus Os, and put them into like these three things here, and with one fader basically control these three, and you know, open up the filter into the high pass and add some more high harmonics and stuff like that to create this kind of washout effect. Let's go into some acid territory. It's quite handy to have some sort of like volume control next to it. Because with the resonance, it can get quite nasty. Too loud again. On the Syntakt, for me, it's a constant fight for loudness. Probably because it doesn't have compressor to, you know, fix everything. But anyways, okay, that's cool. I really like this 6-step sequence over here for the accents. It's kind of polymetrically related to the main sequence, and it makes quite an interesting rhythm actually. But now though, let's put a clap here. So clap is the most complicated sound for me for sound designing. I would always rather use it from 909 case or something like that. But let's try. So darker, without this kind of like, without this. I don't know why do you need this sound inside of the clap, but anyways. Maybe like this, and bit overdrive, and super short, and loud. If you have a clap which is short and not too loud, it's gonna work. So let's put it here. It does. At least for me, it works. Maybe we can put it a little bit louder. And pitch it down a little bit more. Nice. And where is our synth sound? We can actually use it as sort of like to introduce at some point inside of the track. I muted the accents and introduced the synth sound. I think it sounds cool. But there are a couple of tricks that I wanted to show you with the Mimetic actually. So the first trick which I'm gonna use is modulate the phaser. So I'm gonna go into track 2, load 0. It erases all the values over here on this grid. And I'm putting it into FM1 of Polaris, and then we have an attenuator here to apply the amount of this modulation to the phaser. Now if I'm gonna go into load shred, it's gonna generate all kinds of different random values throughout these 16 tracks, 16 steps. And we have, as you can see, 16 different values here. What I would like to do is to zero a few of them, so that it kind of has called response. And now I'm gonna apply a little bit. There's gonna be like a super subtle change, because it changes the phaser a little bit, the phase cutoff position. Just brings a bit different tonality here. And another thing which I would like to do here is gated reverb. And that's going to be an interesting one. Again, track 3, load 0, erased everything from the track 3, and I'm going to put it into the blend input of the Desmodus Verso. So blend is our mix input. So the more CV we send into the blend, the more open the mix is going to be for this reverb, and the less original sound of this bass line we're going to hear. So with this in mind, I would like to keep most of these steps on the track 3 as 0 and just generate a few of them to some high voltage value so that it kind of creates gated reverb, right? So at some point it's going to be like fully here and then go back here. And I think it creates quite an interesting result. Let's do it. So I'm pressing shred. And now with a filter, maybe one more time. Then more Ruina Versio and open up filter even more. And now, nice. Let's remove the resonance and go back to more clean bassline. We still have this gated reverb here, right? Dun, dun, dun. Like, super nice. I actually really like it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you've learned something new for yourself that you can apply to your own music production workflow. if you would like to support my work, the most obvious way to support it is to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit this bell button and everything to help the algorithm to push this video to more people. There are affiliate links in the description down below if you consider to purchase any of this gear. There is not going to be extra costs for you, but some commission back to me, which is amazing. And also there is a Patreon link and you can become my Patreon. Check those tiers, maybe that's something that interests you. Didn't really work. Something like that. And if you would like to check another video where I made a techno jam just on this modular case, you can check this video, or if you would like to learn how to make techno from scratch just on the Octa track, you can check this video. And until the next time, have fun.